Today, we're going to take a look at the do's and don'ts when it comes to overcoming a fear of abandonment. Now, in my last teaching, I talked about what it is that causes that fear of abandonment and then what it looks like in your relationships. We talked about some of the things that you're doing in your relationships that stem from that fear, such as pushing people away or keeping people from getting close to you. And you would think that in order to change that, well, then that you would just stop whatever behaviors are going on. But it's not really that simple. If it were, then we all would be changing our behaviors all the time, wouldn't we? So today I'm going to help you to be more clear on the things that you need to be doing and not doing in order to change this fear of abandonment. If you don't know me, let me introduce myself. My name is Tawnya Kordenbrock. I'm a licensed professional clinical counselor and an online emotions coach where I teach and coach women how to rewire their brains so that they can break free from fear, anger, and shame to be able to love themselves, feel loved by others, and have a deeper relationship with God. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe so that you can get more of these teachings. As we get started, the first don't that we want to look at is don't believe that there is something wrong with you. Just because you have a fear of abandonment doesn't mean that this is the whole of who you are. But instead, you do want to consider that this fear is only a part of you. It's a part of you that has been wounded in the past, and now it is responding out of that fear and causing these beliefs and causing these behaviors to come from you. The second don't is don't force yourself to be different. This is a common tendency when we have uncomfortable feelings within us or when we have behaviors, actions that we don't appreciate, that we don't respect, or we find them disgusting or they're hurtful, that we just try to kind of just squash those feelings down. We tell ourselves, don't feel that way, or just don't think that way, don't behave that way. And so we try to force this change in us to pretty much become a different person. And that goes back to that number one point of believing it is the whole of who you are and believing that there's something innately wrong with you. And so then you try to be something else or try to be someone else. But instead, what you want to do is to change your response pattern. Now, what is a response pattern? A response pattern stems from that fear. And as I said in my last teaching, I talked about what has caused that fear, some of the things that could have happened in your life that set up this response pattern. So that initial fear, or those initial fears from pain from earlier in your life, impacted your brain. It actually shaped your brain and how your brain responds. So that now when you feel fear and when you are picking up on clues, which that fear is going to hone in on the information that it wants to see to affirm your belief that something's wrong with you, to affirm that belief that the other person is going to leave you or reject you. So that fear triggers those beliefs, which then will, the neuronal response from that is going to go down from the emotional part of your brain into your body. It's going to impact your posture and your breathing. Then it's going to impact your behaviors. in how perhaps you withdraw from others, or you become more aggressive with them, or you begin beating yourself up and eating your emotions away. So you don't want to just force yourself to change, but you do want to examine and change the response pattern. Now this goes into our third don't, which is don't force your thoughts to change. Because typically what women will do is when they're having these thoughts that someone is going to reject them, that someone doesn't like them, that they're going to leave, then they try to fight off those thoughts and to say to themselves, just don't think that way. You are wrong for thinking that way. And what is wrong with you that you're thinking that way, that you keep telling yourself this, and that you can't stop believing this? Or they will try to fight it by telling themselves something about the other person that, no, they're just, something's wrong with them. They're just envious of me. They're jealous of me. And so they won't accept me. But what you do want to do here instead is to just notice your thoughts. Now, this will help you to change that response pattern. If in a non-critical way, that in the moment of when you're feeling that fear, that you notice the fear and you notice, oh, here's what's going on inside of me. I can feel that fear within my heart or within my throat, and it's tightening and it's bringing these thoughts. So in this non-critical way, you're seeing how the pattern is bringing these thoughts. It's bringing thoughts into my mind that the other person thinks I am stupid, that the other person thinks I'm fat, the other person thinks I'm not good enough, that I can't be in a relationship, or just something is wrong with me. Or these thoughts are arising that the other person is overly judgmental, or the other person is so critical or is so insecure. And this is why I'm believing that they are going to reject me. So instead of considering this fear of abandonment to be the whole of who you are, instead of believing what this fear tells you, that something is innately wrong with you that would cause people to reject you or to leave you, instead you need to see it as a pattern that has developed due to early hurts in your life. And this pattern, this fear, is trying to protect you. So because it's trying to protect you, it causes you to focus on the negative and to maintain those negative beliefs. So kind of like it's giving you a heads up of, oh, look, you're going to be hurt again. And so you prepare yourself by, oh yeah, well, I know I'm going to be hurt because there's something wrong with me, or I know I'm going to be hurt because people are so judgmental and so critical, or so insecure. But really it's this pattern that is telling you that, and that is trying to protect you from that hurt. So in order to overcome a fear of abandonment, you don't change you. You don't change the whole of who you are. You don't even try to change other people. But instead, in a non-critical way, non-judgmental way, you examine this pattern as it is arising within you. Now, when you can do this, especially when you can do it in the moment, become aware of it. Oh, look, at the thoughts that are arising. Look at the emotions that I'm feeling within me. Look how it's causing me to respond, to shut down, to pull away, to withdraw, or to put a wall up, or to become more aggressive and attack the other person, become critical of them. When you can notice that arising, that gives you kind of just space within your mind, within yourself, to be able to more clearly see what is going on. And as you do this, repeat this and do it over time, it's going to change that pattern so that when you encounter others within relationship, then you don't see things the old way, and the way that through that lens of the fear, the way the fear causes you to see things. But instead, you can see things for how they truly are, where you have your shortcomings, but you also have some really good and wonderful things about you. And others also have their shortcomings, but they also have wonderful things about them. And that there is that opportunity that you can take a risk and develop a deeper relationship and more satisfying relationships with others. I hope you found this helpful. Please give it a thumbs up if you did, and look below, because I do have a free resource for you to help you with that self-image and to change that. Thanks for being with me today.